Hey Luna, do you like scary stories?
Hey, I don't know.
Hi, this is Camber.
Hi, this is Nakisha, and you're listening to Wise and
Wise and
Weird.
Weird.
Yeah, I was just thinking, since the first one was on fear, I thought it'd be fun to do fear, but like in a different way of actual like fright. I guess this would be more like fright instead of fear. But or does it have to be? I mean, because I think you have a couple of like sweet paranormal stories.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah, that aren't like spooky, scary or whatever. I have some like kind of scary ones, but yeah, I don't know. We'll just see where this takes us.
Yeah, see where the wind takes us.
Yeah.
Just
Let's
around the river bend.
I wish
gonna
it
be
was
like-
just around the river bend, I'll tell you that.
Sing some Pocahontas here.
It's been around the ocean tide and through the river and lakes and woods and just kidding, I don't know. Yeah. Also, we just recently got like on streaming services, we just got like a bunch of newer ones now, and now I have all these like A&E and like ID channel or whatever, and it's all on like murders and scary stories and like hauntings, like the haunted shows where they go to like abandoned buildings and stuff, and it's all just filled with that on my list. I can like favorite things, and that's all it is right now. So I was like, yeah, this is hitting it. This is the hitting spot.
This is it.
This is it.
I don't watch a lot of that stuff anymore, but I don't know.
You know, I get that response a lot whenever I talk about people like, oh no, I don't mess with that anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, well.
I know.
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
I do
okay.
sometimes, I guess, but Talon's really sensitive to that stuff and he doesn't like it. So
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of people are. I get it, because I feel like I'm sensitive to this stuff as well. Like, I feel like I kind of draw things in the more that I listen and watch and stuff like that. So I have to really, I'm like saging myself every day and just like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. And then the next day I'm like, I didn't mean to again. But I can't help it. I've always loved it. I've always had such a fascination with all of it, and I can't even deny it. Like, I remember being 8 years old, just like, oh, ghosts. Like, I don't know. We just always, all the time.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. So
Transition.
I know. I was like, are we going to do the episode now? We need to talk about astrology first.
We do. And I don't have a good transition. So now I'm just going to transition. Well, not all the time, but for this episode, that's my transition.
You need to come up with one that's like, just make some like crazy sound or like a one word thing that you say every time.
Yeah. Just like llama. And then it just like starts.
Yeah.
Soft transition. So that was my soft transition, guys. So yeah, astrology. Let's get into it. So March 18th, I touched on this a little last episode, but March 18th, we have a full moon in Virgo. So when I think of the energy of full moon in Virgo, I think of an ideal time for creating routines and structures, schedules, using your calendar. What else? I'm trying to think. Calendar, planner. I actually have a planner that I write down. I like physically write stuff down because I'm old school. So
I have a magnet calendar on my fridge, like a whiteboard calendar.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, stuff like that. We have to have all kinds of calendars and things, because I'm very like structured and organized, but also with Tor, I mean, he forgets everything. Like he has to have his visual stuff. So we always have like, we have like clocks in every room. We have to have a calendar everywhere. Yeah, so got all kinds of different calendars and stuff. I actually made one too, that you like write on with dry eraser, but it has like bright colors in the background to be like, hey, look at me.
Yep.
So that's what I think of when I think of full moon in Virgo. It's like decluttering, tidying up, getting down some kind of procedure, or meal prepping even would kind of fall into this. Getting prepared, preparing for the week ahead, the month ahead, you know, the year ahead, whatever your goals and plans, and just, yeah, tweaking these things and tidying them up. With the full moon, you're wanting to ask yourself, like, what is getting in the way from me being orderly and organized and tidy? What is getting in the way of these goals? And if it has something to do with, if you can find something that you're able to tweak that will help you to accomplish your goals, then this is a really good time for that. Is, yeah, just kind of looking at your whole structure and foundation around that. I'm just re-looking over my notes. Yeah, it says spring cleaning, tidying, organizing, adding structure. If you have Virgo placements, especially if you have a Virgo moon placement, you may be feeling this even more so. The energies around this, you'll probably feel them even more so. And let's see, so March 20th, I usually think of this as March 21st. I feel like lately things have been, I don't know, I guess time's just warping and speeding up so much, because I feel like a lot of these dates are like being pushed forward, but I've always known it to be March 21st. But anyway, March 20th, Sun enters Aries. It's around like 11 something in the morning. So, I mean, it is that day. I've always considered March 20th the last day of the last sign, which is Pisces. So March 20th was always like a huge, I actually have a niece that has that birthday, and it's like really special to me because, yeah, so she's not only the last sign of the zodiac, which is Pisces, but she's the last of the Pisces. So like the oldest and wisest, which I've always thought she was an old soul before she was even here. So yeah, March 20th, Sun enters Aries. So we're transitioning. It's a big day because we're transitioning from Pisces, which is the last sign. It's the tying up of all the loose ends, right? It's the finalizing and preparing for the next step. More than the next step, though, actually preparing for the next cycle is like Pisces energy. So now we're entering Aries. So we're going to be starting that cycle over again. We're starting with the first. Aries is, yeah, the first, the leaders. They are, to me, they're kind of compared to, if you do tarot cards at all, the Fool, which is the 0 card. And it's the Fool starting out on his journey. And then he goes through all of the cards, right? It's his journey. That's kind of the idea behind tarot. It's a whole story and journey of the Fool. And so I kind of think of that when I think of Aries, not that they're like foolish, but that they blaze their own trail. They're the start of something new, and it's the start of a new journey. So Sun enters Aries, March 20th. This is the first of the signs. So Aries are fire. They are known to be bold. They're known to be leaders. They're also known to be very loyal and social and blunt. They tend to have a very masculine energy to them because they are a fire sign. They kind of more are like a masculine type of energy, and very self-assured typically, which is really cool. So a lot of their life lessons kind of have to do with independence and not being like too independent, of like not needing anyone, and not being like dependent on others. It's kind of like finding this healthy balance of their own independence and exploring that, and their like new freedoms and stuff is kind of what relates to Aries. On that same day, so March 20th is really powerful because on that same day, it's also the first day of spring. And with it starting Aries season, that's starting the astrological new year in a sense too. So that's really cool. So there's like all those things happening March 20th. Yay. And then March 31st / April 1st, because when there's a full moon or new moon, it typically lasts for about 2.5 days. So March 31st / April 1st, we have a new moon in Aries. So this energy is really cool just because I was already talking about Aries is already the first sign. They're already about new and adventure and bold and going out there, getting it, trend setting. And new moons are very much the same kind of energy as well. So combining them together, that's going to be very fiery. It's all about, it's going to be all about new cycles, a new start, making waves. And this new moon has influence from Chiron, which Chiron is a big aspect I normally do in the birth charts. You and I have gone over it a little bit and stuff, but that's where your wound lies. It's really telling on like what you're here in this lifetime to work on. So Chiron kind of has some influence in here. So normally that lets me know to expect a lot of healing around these themes. So around the new moon in Aries, there's also going to be a lot of healing in this too. So yeah, these new projects and stuff. So it's going to be, it felt very like transformative to me because of that Chiron influence. So the words that kind of came to mind for that were renewal, rebirth, forward movement, taking action, assertion, also getting instinctual, getting in touch with your instincts, following your instincts. And that's a very big Aries thing as it is, but with this new moon influence and things like that. So very instinctual time. And yeah, that's what I've got coming up. It's a really cool way to start off April 1st though.
Yeah.
April Fool's Day. I forgot. Yeah.
That's
Yay.
awesome. So April Fool's Day is the start of the never mind. I got that mixed up.
The
That's
new
the
moon.
20th.
Yeah.
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 That's the
It's
new
not
moon
the
because
start
I
of
was like, yeah, I'm like, that'd be so cool if April Fool's Day was like the start of Aries season,
yeah.
but it's not. I got it.
You know,
Anyway.
it's the Aries new moon though. So I don't know. You could
That's
probably
kinda
play
fun.
some pretty good pranks with that. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I never prank anyone.
I know. I
Not
really don't
anymore. I
either.
used to.
I was just gonna say I used to when Gramps was around. You've been a sweet ass. I would prank him. He loved it. But yeah, not really anymore either.
Me and Ruby played some pretty good pranks on people.
Oh my god, you Scorpios, totally. I'm like, you would. That's funny. Yeah. What's a good transition? I don't know. I just looked at my notes. You could play scary pranks too.
So scary. Frightful ones.
Oh, my transitions are terrible.
They're actually pretty awesome. I'm into it.
So yeah, fear.
Fear. Right. Yeah, right. I know we talked about doing this because we talked about fear in the first episode, and so we decided to talk about like scary stories, maybe some paranormal activity, maybe some whatever. I don't exactly know what you're going to bring up, but yay, this will be like a funner version of fear. Frightful.
Yeah, and it kind of comes full circle because our first episode was on fear. And since right now we're in Pisces season, ending cycles and starting new ones.
Yeah.
This
is our last episode.
The transition's over. No, I was trying to like.
Oh, you're still trying to transition? I thought we were.
Yeah, no, it was way past that. I just. Okay, yeah. This is the last episode of season 1.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that it landed on Pisces season.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Have you had, so I need to know because you're Scorpio ass. Have you had paranormal experiences?
Yeah. Period. Yeah, I definitely have. I think they're far less than maybe Well, I don't want to say less than what you've experienced. I think they're very different. I've never really had like demonic experiences.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a different level. And
Yeah.
I've always kind of avoided that. I've definitely had a lot of paranormal experiences.
Cute.
Yeah, so adorable. As a kid, and then even looking back now, I think that there's certain experiences I dismissed as like other things, or convinced myself were just like, I don't know, I was playing tricks on myself. It was dark, I was scared, whatever, when you're a kid. But now
Yeah.
that I'm adult, I'm like, okay, it happened enough times as a kid, and all the adults around me were just trying to convince me it wasn't real. But then when I started having it happen to me as an adult, I was like, this is crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if we just jump right in and start telling stories about it. But
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if it even all has to be like paranormal either, but I definitely am interested in hearing your paranormal experiences. But if you have other ones that are just like scary situations, like, I don't know, robbed at gunpoint or like
just
almost got
being
carried
a
away.
woman,
What?
being a woman in the
Oh,
city at
yeah,
night.
just being a woman in general. Yeah, let's just do that. Um, yeah, I was gonna say almost being carried away in the ocean while you're snorkeling at 7 months pregnant. That was scary. So, I mean, there's all kinds of like scary type of situations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know what though? I can't think of any like non-paranormal situations where I am afraid or frightful. Like I don't get like afraid very easily. I think if
Yeah.
someone pointed a gun at me, I probably still wouldn't really. Fear is not what I would be feeling. I would be like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Like, who do you think you are? And then probably, like, I don't know that fear would be it. But yeah, I don't know. As far as like paranormal experiences, like, I think that's one of the most scared I've ever been in my life as an adult. And that was when I lived in Harriman. And I told you that story. And so,
Yes.
yeah, that's like the most afraid I've ever been in my entire life, I think, other than like being afraid of heights freaks me out. But
Mhm.
um yeah, it was that day because my ex-husband used to travel all the time, and so he wasn't home, and I was taking a bath in like the master bathroom, and there's not a door in between the bed and bath, and so I was just like relaxing in there, and I had a little dog, and he was outside the bedroom, and the bedroom door was shut, and he started like barking at the front door and like freaking out as if like someone was there. And then he started running down the hall to the like barking the whole time, just like going crazy as if someone was in the house, clear into the like right by my bedroom door. And I heard the front door open right before he started running down the hall. So I like naked ass me gets out of the tub, and I like crawl over to the bedroom door and lock it. And then I was in my bedroom, and I thought someone was breaking into the house. And my dog is freaking out in front of the bedroom door like someone's standing there. And like I see the door like handle shaking, and I run over to my ex-husband's like side of the bed, and he had a gun and it wasn't loaded. I don't know how to load a gun. I don't know how to shoot a gun, but I grabbed it, and I was just like freaking out. I'm like naked on
Oh
the
my
side of the
God.
bed, and I'm just like having this like hissy fit. Like I don't know what to do. I text my ex-husband. I was like, "Did you come home early?" He's like, "No. Why are you saying that? Are you okay?" And I was just like, someone broke in the house. Like that's what I'm thinking. And so then all of a sudden my dog starts barking and like running back to the front door again. And I swear, like I don't hear the front door shut or anything. And then my dog just stops barking. And so I go with this like unloaded gun, and I just like open the bedroom door. I have like a robe on at this point, and both locks on the front door are locked. And I'm just like, what in the hell? Like I was so upset. And I was like looking out the window and checking like our cameras, and like nothing. There was nothing. And I was like, this is wild. I saw the
Wow.
door. I saw someone trying to get in the bedroom, like door handle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like when it started in that house. And that house is probably like the worst house I've ever lived in, to the point where I ended up making him move. Like, it was a beautiful home, like a huge house in a really nice neighborhood. And I was like, I can't live here. I'm so over this house. And it would just be different things. Like, I would clean the bathrooms, and I would go back in the bathrooms, and like the toilet seats would be up and there would be like toilet paper in it. And I'd be like, maybe I just did that. So I'd flush it and I'd leave and I'd go back and there'd be toilet paper in the toilet. And
What?
yeah. And like,
Weird.
Bumpy would freak out in front of that same bathroom all the time. And Bumpy's my little like miniature dachshund. And yeah, just like stuff like that would happen all the time. And to the point when I was alone, I would sleep in the living room because I was afraid of like all the other bedrooms.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And yeah, and I had someone come, her name was Julie, come and clear my house with me. And there was like one particularly like terrible room downstairs in the basement.
Mhm.
And that room just like freaked me out. And it became like a storage room. And I hated it down there. So we like stuck all these like crystals down there and we were like trying to cleanse it and stuff. And then one day, me and Joel were like moving stuff up and down the stairs, like Christmas decorations and things like that. And we have to pass this bedroom to go up the stairs, and we were grabbing things out of that bedroom too. And then as we were like coming in and out of that bedroom, all of a sudden, one of the times we came down, the light fixture, it's like one of those nipple lights, was just like ripped out of the ceiling, and the screws had been broken in half. It didn't just like fall out. And like, I don't even know how one of those lights would fall out, but the screws
Wow.
themselves, it was as if someone like broke it out or
Yeah.
something. It was really wild. And I was already like upset about it. And I was just like, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't want to be here. We had a radio upstairs, like a old CD player that would always turn on by itself, and just like a bunch of stuff like that. And to the point, I just got so scared that we moved eventually. And then I remember telling you this, right? I was telling you these stories, and you're like, wait, have you ever talked to Sakara about this? And I was like, no, why? And you're like, she had experiences in your house. I was like, why didn't she tell me that? So like when I got married, she came into town and she babysat my house and my dog for 2 weeks. So she was in that house alone for 2 weeks. And apparently she was having like a lot of these experiences too, but she chose never to tell me because she assumed like it was like attached to her, like it was just her and she didn't want to freak me out. So it was like years later, we found out me and her were both having the
Wow.
same experience in this house. And I don't know I think I know now what it was about the house, but the energy there was so bad. I think it became a portal, I guess, in a way for like bad energy. And I've had a lot of other paranormal experiences, but this one was actually felt scary. Like other ones I've had were like not so scary, but more like, oh, that was so weird or crazy or whatever. But this was like terrifying to me. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be there. I was always alone there. My phone never worked there. Me and my mom like changed my provider like 3 times because me and her had the same phone plan to try to
Wow.
find a provider that would like work. It was like a black hole. It was crazy. I hated it there.
Weird. I wonder sometimes if it had something to do with the land, not specifically the house. It could have been, but like, because I've heard there's been a few of my friends, and the house is like out in Harriman, and
Mhm.
yeah, like one of them, she kind of looked into the land and stuff, and it was out that way, and it was on an Indian burial ground, or there was some kind of like history with it and it was on a burial ground of some sort. And I was just like, what?
Mm.
So, and we weren't expecting that at all for the neighborhood that she was in, but they actually didn't end up going with that house, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, so yeah, I wonder if it has something to do with the land too. Sometimes I feel like that, but very crazy. Yeah. I totally
Yeah.
believe in the portals
Mm.
as well. And that
Yeah.
being like a sorcerer way. Yeah. I mean, that's actually included in one of my scary stories. So, but yeah, I remember you telling me about that. That's so crazy. And that's so crazy that Sakara, I totally forgot about that part of it, of her having experiences in your house too. But yeah.
Yeah, you were the one that told me. I got
Yeah,
like, I
I forgot
legitimately was
about that.
upset with her for a minute. Like, why didn't you tell me
Wow.
this? And she's like, I thought that it was me, because she has her own experiences. And I was just
Yeah.
like, no, you have to tell me these things. It's my house. And my
Wow.
ex-husband had built the house. So, like, no one had lived in it before. So it was new. And I just think that in your mind, you expect it. We think
Mm-hmm.
that new builds are not like as scary, but honestly, it's almost more scary sometimes because it's like you're breaking new ground and you don't know what you're breaking into.
Yeah, I
And
wonder sometimes if it was like the
yeah,
land, you know,
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, that was pretty crazy to hear about. Even the second time around. That's crazy to hear. Because you're not a super fearful person either. So when you told me about that, like I had the gun and I was like naked and I saw the doorknob shake and stuff. I was like, what? Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Because
I'm
it's
not like I don't usually get scared. I am not someone that has a lot of like I believe in like spirits and things like that and portals and everything, but like I am very closed off to any kind of negative energy. I don't
yeah.
like allow it in out, like even a little peek of it. Like I'm just really not about it. And so to have that experience, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, girl.
But, and then I'm grateful though, because it totally, all those movies you see where those like little kids are telling their parents, like, oh, there's this person under my bed. I'm like, and the parents don't believe them. I will never be that parent.
I
No, I'm going to be like, we're moving. Yeah.
Tor and I have joked about that. Like, if Luna were ever to come up and be like, Mom, this, like the old lady in the window's talking to me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we're moving out that day. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, Tor and I have joked about that. Like, oh yeah, our kid could like tell us the wildest story, and we're like, I believe you.
Yeah.
Like, I know it happened because it happened to me too. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're kind of funny that way. So, oh, that's crazy. Yeah, we've had some pretty wild experiences too. I've had one with Tor too. But I was gonna start more with my other one from before that.
Yeah, I want to hear about any of the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, so I have a whole list here, and so I'm like, which ones are like the scariest? Because I, have a limited time here. That's like how many weird experiences I have. But I feel like I definitely I take full responsibility. I totally draw these things to me. like but and I'm better about it now. I definitely make sure to like ground and protect and like clear stuff every day because I just have to. But I've always been, even since a young age, I used to love looking up picture. I had like certain websites I'd go to where like pictures of ghosts like were caught on camera or whatever, and I'd sit and like inspect them, like, does that look real or fake? And like we would sit there for hours, my friends and I, and listening to I think it's called EVPs, or like there's a movie
Oh
White
yeah.
Noise that's all about it, like when you get the sounds on there. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, we used to listen to them like, oh, and some of them were so scared, they're like, get out, and some of them like, ah. But yeah, I've always been like super into stuff like that. And then once I was like, yeah, like around 19, it was after high school, when I was living up in Ogden, going to Weber State. But yeah, it was like around 19, 20, I had like a little group of friends, and we started a ghost hunting group. We didn't do it for like a really long extended period of time, but we did go to like quite a few different places together. We went to, they're called the Old Indian Schools. It's up in like Bingham City or whatever. I don't know what it's like now or whatever, but I know back then it was a bunch of like abandoned buildings, and they were actually really scary. There were like 6 buildings, I think, total that made up this school. And so we would go there a lot. We've been there multiple times. And there I actually had a pretty crazy, wild experience, quite a few times, but especially the last time that I went. And so yeah, we had this little ghost hunting group. We like went to this old like abandoned farmhouse. That one was pretty crazy. We went to, yeah, like graveyards. One of our friends, God, I haven't talked to him. I don't talk to him at all anymore, keep in touch with him, but he had actually a tape where like you can see a girl in a dress, and she like flashes in and then it fades away, and then all of a sudden she's in the center, flashes in, fades away, flashes in, fades away. And then but soon after that he moved to California, and like now I don't know if like none of that group of friends really talk to each other. So that's kind of crazy, but yeah, we actually like caught one on film. But so just really quick, going to the old Indian schools. One of the last times that I was there, I remember like we had a group of people, I don't know, remember how many, but I remember while we were going down this hallway, and they're so scary because it's like just long hallways, and there's like door, and like it's so scary. And we're like walking down, and all of a sudden I see this shadow at the end of, oh, I'm getting chills. I saw this shadow at the end of the hallway. It was pretty far down, but it was a big shadow. And there was no light in there really. So it wasn't like someone just like walking. I kept looking to see if it was like a person and stuff. And it was weird too, because it wasn't just like a regular shadow. Like it was black, like no presence of light. Like it was so weird. It like absorbed the light around it almost, like it just, and the second I saw it, I got this, and I was never one of the first ones to be like, let's go guys, you know, because I was always like, I got an adrenaline rush. I loved the shit. But like the second I saw it, I was like, no, we got to go. And everyone's like, no, we just got here. And I'm like, we've got to go. Like we need to go. Like I can't stay in here. There was one other person in the group that saw it. One of my friends' younger brothers or whatever, he saw it too. And so we leave, and on the way home, just like on the car ride or whatever, everyone that didn't see the shadow person, which was everyone but 2 of us, got like sick on the way home. Everyone got like these terrible headaches and got nauseous. And like we ended the night early because everyone was just like feeling sick. It was super weird. And for weeks following, we all had these weird experiences with like all of a sudden the stereo would just turn on and be like static, and like it sounded like people like talking in the static and stuff. And like we kept having these weird, crazy experiences with like electricity or the lights turning on and off. And we were like, you know, documenting them or recording them or whatever, and like sending them to each other, like, this happened to me today. And we're like, oh my gosh, this happened too. And it was so weird. So that was pretty crazy. That was one of my first like bigger like paranormal like experiences or whatever. And then I had a really terrible ex who you actually cursed out. And I honestly believe that he had, I think he even admitted to me eventually that he had something attached to him. But at this time, I didn't really believe in like angels and demons, evil, and I don't know. I mean, I would like kind of shield and protect myself somewhat, but I didn't really know how to quite yet then. Obviously, because he wouldn't have been in my life. And then,
that makes sense to me that he would have something like attached to him.
Yeah, no, I totally think he did. And he would kind of tell me like that, you know, and he grew up like on the reservation and stuff like that. So it just was different. He knew about all kinds of different things that I had never heard of. You know, I didn't know about like skinwalkers and stuff like that before. I sure do now, because I'm like obsessed with listening to those stories now, but I didn't back then. I had no idea what that was. So this was while I was with him. And well, I thought I was okay. So it was in my old apartment that you were always at, like we were always hanging out at or whatever, that smaller one. And it was in the morning time. Yeah, it was daytime or whatever. Like you could see the sun shining through or whatever. And I'm just laying on my bed, and I feel this hand like going down my side, like down the side of my stomach, going up and like touching my boob and everything. And there I can like feel like warmth against me, or like someone's there, like a presence. And it's like there's like a clicking noise in my ear, like like type of weird noise.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't that scared at first because I thought my ex was there with me. And then in the split second, I remembered, oh my God, he didn't sleep over last night. And then I just froze. And I realized, like, oh my God, I'm here alone. And it terrified me. Oh my God, that was like so scary. And it kept happening though. So I was just frozen still, and it kept like groping me, touching me. I kept having this like weird, like static clicking noise in my ear or whatever. And I could see the top of, you remember my ex, he like had this dew, like
Yeah.
just spiked right up, like fucking douche. But yeah, so I see his douche head right there. So I don't see what it is exactly, but it creeped me. That's what creeped me out too. This thing was mimicking him. And it was like the top of his head. It was his hair and everything. I saw his forehead. Like when I looked, like to see what it was, whatever, I didn't see anything else, but there was something there. And then I finally just got the courage. I guess I was frozen for a little while, and I finally got the courage to be like, get away from me, go. And I like started screaming or something. And then all of a sudden I felt it like leave, and I looked around my room and I was there alone. So that was one of my first, that one was like really terrifying. And I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Also, the fact that it could be in like physical form, whatever it was, is like super scary to me. Because before that, I always just like, I don't know, I always believe like, yeah, things can get scary, but when it's like a shadow thing or something, like I never really thought of like physical type of like things like that. That was kind of when I first was exposed to it, was like being with him. And then right around the same time, same apartment, everything, this was maybe like weeks apart. There was another night that I woke up in the middle of the night and I look right in front of me. There's this really, really old looking woman sitting in a rocking chair, like sitting there rocking and like cackling, like, like this evil cackle laugh, and just like staring at me. But like, it was so old, like looked like 300 years old or something like that. And just cackling. And I was like terrified, and I froze up again. And it just like the presence of it was just really bad. And then right around the same time, there was another night where I woke up and there were like three like shadow, it was like the outline or shadow of like three different beings at the end of my bed. And so finally at this point, I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on? And so I called up Sakara, and I'm like crying to her. I'm like in tears, like, I just saw three things at the end of my bed. And like, it's like people and this happened, and blah, blah, blah. And Sakara was like, hold on, wait, like, the other experiences, yeah, that's scary. She's like, but don't write that one off just yet. She's like, those might be your guides. And this was my first time even hearing about like spirit guides. I didn't even know about that whole like concept and stuff then. It's so weird because I was always into stuff like this, but I didn't know really about like spirit guides. And so she was the one to kind of introduce me to that. And she's like, I think they might be your spirit guides. And later on, just from messages that I've received and just kind of like, deepening that connection, I think she was actually right. I think that was my spirit guides like protecting me at that one. So that was a really crazy experience. Yeah.
I like the spirit guides. I feel like I've definitely had many experiences with that too. Mine is a lot with like animals and kids, right? And like the spirit guides, I've had a lot of more like, I guess, angel experiences. I don't know if I believe in like angels and demons so much as like just energy in general.
Right.
Yeah. But like, I know my niece, like one of my many nieces, she lived with us when she was really little. And by the time like she was able to talk and stuff, like there was a couple times that we would like catch her like talking to like herself in the other room, and then like showing her a picture of like my grandma who had passed like 6 or 7 years before, and she's like, oh, that's like grandma, and it's like, oh yeah, like we hadn't shown her the picture and been like, hey, this is grandma, like or anything. So I have had experiences like that where you can feel that like lighter energy kind of and decipher. Yeah. And like the getting like frozen in the moment too is like really terrifying, because I've also had that experience with like a child where another one of my nieces, like all of my nieces and nephews were at my parents' house, like running around. Everyone's there, our whole family, which is a lot of us. There's like 30 of us, and they're playing hide and go seek. She runs into the back closet of my parents' bedroom and comes out screaming. And I was told to take her back there and show her like nothing's in there, like demons aren't real, like scary people, ghosts aren't real. And I was just like, okay. And so I carried her back there. She was probably 5 at the time. And I was like holding her, and we got in front of the door, and she just started pointing and like crying and screaming. And she's like, it's right there. And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
I was just like, nope. And I just took her right back out of the room, and I shut the door, and I was like, not dealing with this. Like, I couldn't see it. I didn't feel like anything was bad, but it was just like midday playing hide and seek. She'd been fine the whole time. It was
Wow.
really, it wasn't like the normal, like in the middle of the night when it's dark and you're alone, or
Yeah.
they weren't telling scary stories. She wasn't watching a
Mm-hmm.
scary movie. Like, yeah. So that freaked me out too. Like, that freaked me out a lot. And I had a couple of experiences in that house, all more on the positive side. Um, but yeah, like I think in my dad's house, it was more like spirit guides for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I do think there was also like a little boy there for some reason. My dad built that house. So it was another like breaking ground situation.
Mm-hmm.
But me and my sister had bedrooms next to each other. And I remember one day we were like both like awake, but we were just like doing our own thing, like reading a book or whatever. All of a sudden, I see something run past my door, and it looked like a little boy. And then we're just sitting there, like she's in a whole other room, but our doors are open and we're close enough. And she goes, Christina. And I was like, yeah. She's like, did you see that? And I was like, yeah, did you see that? You see that little boy? And I was like, yeah, I did. And it was so crazy because we like
Oh,
both saw it
wow.
run past our doors, or him run past both of our doors or whatever. And she's significantly like older. I was maybe 15 or 16. She was in her 20s. So I don't know. It wasn't like a scary experience, but yeah. And again, my dog would be down there, and he would bark in like a corner that we saw that little boy run out of. He would bark at it all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think you have to like, it's hard not to be scared initially, but I think you have to kind of, as you get to know energies more or feel them, and it's like trusting your instinct, whether it's like good or something you kind of want to like block out or like push away.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had a lot more like guardian experiences or like spirit guide experiences, I think.
See, that's awesome. I love those too, though. I really do. I love hearing about those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that the more that I've learned, I'm pretty heavy into like energy healing now and stuff, and I feel like I get kind of more concepts with it. But yeah, the more that you get into it or figure out like how energy works and things like that, um, yeah, I think that there's like deciphering. I don't think anytime you see something, well, not every time is it even like paranormal, but um, even then, I don't think it's always like a bad thing. I think it's just, yeah, energy exists, and there's some that would be labeled as good energy, some are labeled as bad energy, and it's all on the spectrum. And you can fill it out there how that feels to you, because I've definitely had quite a few experiences where I feel like I've seen a ghost or a spirit, and it didn't scare me at all. I've actually had like quite a few of those, but then I've had other ones that were pretty terrifying. So they'll
Yeah.
feel totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it reminds me, you did like a course last year or the year before, maybe, where you got in tune with like, I hope it's okay I'm bringing it up too, but like got in tune with different senses, like auditory, visual, like all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've thought a lot about that since you told me, because I've kind of like gone back and thought about all my experiences. And I think I'm a very like auditory person, like hearing someone say something. Like I remember when I was younger thinking that someone was always sleeping in the bunk above me, like snoring.
Oh, wow.
And but visualize for me, I don't visualize. I haven't I'm not in tune with that as much, like visually seeing. So when you're saying like you've seen like manifestations, like someone like sitting in a chair or laying next to you, it's like, yeah, and mine would be auditory and like touch, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm much more in tune with those two things.
There's quite a few ways to, yeah, pick up on things. I feel like, especially when I was during the time of taking that course, well, she had us focus in on each sense, like for a certain amount of time. It would be like a full day or a full week. You're like engulfed in this certain sense. And holy crap, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, the auditory, I remember the time that we were focusing on auditory, I was just like, I was constantly like, what was that? What was that? And I'm like calling Tor up and he's like working nights. So I'm like at home alone. Well, I'm like home with Luna and she was just a little baby. And, you know, Tor's out working nights and stuff. And I'm just calling him up all constantly. Like while he's at work, like, I heard something, blah, blah, blah. Like it was kind of crazy. But yeah, I was hearing stuff all the time. And I've kind of I didn't expect the auditory one to be so strong for me, but I've actually had quite a few messages come through like auditory and even good ones too. Like when I was on my first date with Tor and I like flat out heard someone speak in my ear, like that's your guy, like that's going to be your husband. And I was like, what? And I was so weirded out by that, but it was like it came through auditory, like I heard it. And felt it to some sense, but it was more like a hearing thing. So that's really cool. I thought it was really cool to like dive into that. That was actually a really cool program. And I just looked it up again yesterday because I
really?
like can still access it. And she's offering like a new like free one that I hurried and signed up for. I don't even know what it was exactly, but I saw that it was free. And so I added it to my courses from her. But yeah, I'll have to give you that information. She's really cool. She was like a huge part of my like journey and into things. She even has classes on like what, you know, like the afterlife or like the phases that we go through, like after we pass, you know, and stuff. It's kind of cool. She claims that like her guides are the ones that like showed her the process. So yeah, she's really cool. I really like her.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely feel like being in energy healing and the more that I dove into it, even right after I became a certified Reiki master, more stuff came up then too. I feel like I just keep getting to these like new levels and opening up more. But with that, I'm also just, it's hard. You have to be careful with like what you're inviting in, which I think is really smart of you to be very like cautious of that. And, you know, you just like cut it off, just like, no. And with me, I feel like I'm a little more open. I'm a little more open and curious, which gets me in trouble. But I feel like I've learned my lesson. But yeah, I did have that one other like pretty crazy experience with Tor. Actually, did I tell you about that one?
Probably, but you definitely should tell everyone else about it.
Okay. Here we go. Another scary story. So this one, where should I start? So for a little while, and I never have trouble sleeping. Well, I mean, I do now, but I didn't at the time and I never did before. So I never really had trouble sleeping. And for a while, like I started to have like nightmares like every night and I was having trouble going to sleep. It was to the point where like I didn't want to go to sleep because I just was like so scared. And it especially happened. So during this time, Tor and I were together, but we weren't living together yet. So I had my place, he had his. We were always like staying together at one of our places. And I would feel it more so at his place than mine, but it still was both. And I remember one time we were going to bed and it was at his place. And it was just like, I don't want to go to sleep anymore. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I don't like something's messing with me at night. Like, I don't want to go to sleep anymore. Like, I'm really scared. Something's going on. And he was just like, oh, wow, like, that's crazy. Like, you know, just like maybe sage or whatever and stuff. I'm like, okay. So we go to bed and I'm pretty sure I had a nightmare that night. But the next day, we go up to his friend's house for like a game night or whatever up in Ogden. And during that, I ended up finding out that there was an energy healing like festival going on just down the street. And so I was like, guys, I really want to go check this out. I'll come back and stuff. So they're like, okay. So I went and checked out this festival by myself, and I go there. It was really cool. I'm like checking out all these stands, and I come up to one, and there's all these stones and crystals, which I love. And so I'm sitting there like looking at the stones and crystals, and the guy working there or whatever, I kind of stop him and I'm like, hey, what ones are really good for nightmares? And I like don't even finish my sentence, and he just looks at me. He's like, and he like freaks out. He like kind of freaks out and stuff. And he was like, something's attached to you. He's like, you have something attached to you. I'm like, what? And I just, I get chills every time. And I got like the worst chills when he told me, and I'm like, what? And this guy didn't know anything about me. He didn't know why I was there. He didn't know anything that was going on. And yeah, he was just like, yeah, there's something. He's like, I just got a vision of something like leaning over the headboard, and its claws are in your hair. And I'm like, claws? Hold on, claws? Like, yeah, and its claws are in your hair. It's messing with you at night. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so he was like, you need to get this. He's like, get the black tourmaline. You need to get this. You need to get that. He's like telling me all the crystals what I need to do. He's like, you need to go through, you need to sage your place. He's like, you need to sage your boyfriend's place completely. And you need to put these stones under your beds, both of your beds at each place and stuff. Like he's telling me all these instructions. I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, can I do some energy work on you? And I was like, yeah. And so he like did a bunch of clearing and stuff. And I could feel this rush and this release, which was pretty crazy. But yeah, he said that it was really intense. He was like, okay, so it came through. He's like, there's 10 portals that I found like around your bed. I think he was talking about Taurus, because that's where I felt it the worst. He's like, there's these 10 portals. That's where these things are coming through. He's like, there's a bunch of them like coming through these portals. He's like, but this was like the ringleader of it. And he was like really attached to you. I'm like, oh my God. And I just had the worst chills. And I realized the second he said portals around the bed, I'm like, fuck, I knew it was totally me. It was totally me. Because during this time I was obsessed. When I say obsessed, I mean obsessed with the scary stories. And I still like listen to them pretty often. But I mean, during this time, I was listening to them all the time. Like the second I got a break at work, I was listening to it in my car. I'm listening to it while brushing my teeth. I was listening to it while taking a pee. I was listening to it while driving. I was listening, like I could not stop. I was addicted to listening to these scary stories. Yeah. And I wasn't protecting myself as much as I should have. You know, I would be like listening to them, like fall asleep or something like that. So like they're just playing in my earphones all night, like crazy stuff like that. So
sinking into your subconscious.
I knew it's totally my fault. I'm like, ah, crap. So immediately, you know, go tell Tor what happened and stuff. And he's like, oh my God. And like his friends are just like freaking out, like, oh, that's crazy, you know? So we immediately go home, sage his place out from like top to bottom, do the crystal things. We do that at my house too. And then like a couple nights later, I'm at Tor's place again, and it still didn't feel quite better, but, it felt better, but it didn't, yeah, there was still some residue, I could tell. And so, yeah, it's pretty late. It's like 1 a.m. or something like that. And he goes to take Huey, our dog, outside, to go to the bathroom, whatever. So I'm in his place alone. And I had this weird thing with like the mirrors in his house too, like the way it was set up. I did not like passing by these mirrors, looking into them, especially at night. They freaked me out. So I'm sitting there on his bed, and the way that it was set up is like kind of across and diagonal. I could look into the mirror, and if I looked into the mirror, I would see straight into the bathroom if the door was open. So I look in the mirror and I see, and I go to hurry and look away, and I see, I'm like, wait, and I saw like a shadow move, and I look, and there's like this shadow being, again, like super dark, all black, in the shower. And I see it in the mirror, and it moves, and it like stops, and it sees that I see it, and I just freeze, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, and I'm just praying. I'm like, please, Tor, come back in, because he's still outside with Huey. And I just like freeze. I see it go out and turn down the hall, and it exit. Like I hear it like exit the apartment, and I was just like, what the fuck? So I think while we were saging, we saged pretty thoroughly, but I don't know if we had gone like in the shower. That bathroom had no windows or anything. So I'm thinking that like if there was any entity in there and stuff, it's like, oh, I'll hide in here, you know, it's like all dark in there. It's just like, so anyway, after that, it felt better, but I could still tell that was there. Like, but yeah, that really scared me. That really terrified me. But that whole experience was just super crazy. And Tord could feel stuff too. And, he could hear like, there would be like tapping, and it would like, it wasn't just like constant. It was more, it felt like deliberate. And so we would like, yeah, there was one time where he was like asking questions like, are you good or bad or whatever, like 1 for yes, 2 for no and stuff. And it was saying no. And like, he got some like kind of number out of it. I can't remember how. I remember him like had this like conversation for a minute. He was just like, I don't know. I tried to find out more information, but it came up with this number. And I remember when I looked it up, it was like a fake angel number. It was talking about how like demons use this number to say that they're an angel, but it's a fake angel number or something like that. And I was like, what? Like, it was crazy. It was a really wild experience. So yeah. Be careful.
Be careful. Yeah.
Be careful out there.
The only time I listen to scary stories is like usually when I'm driving at night across the country by myself.
Oh God. And that's a lot of the scary stories are about that.
I know. That's like when I like turn on like my favorite murder podcast or something like that. Like I don't, that's the only time I allow myself to listen to these things anymore. And I don't know why. It's just like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be like in it fully. Like alone in the dark, in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
I love the realness of it. Yeah. No, I get carried away. I'm going to tell you right now, it's like porn. Like when you get like, from what I know, when you get into it and stuff, you're always looking for like bigger, badder, like you become like desensitized to stuff and whatever. And you're like, oh, this is nothing now. Like I got to do this. And you just keep getting more and more extreme. I'm like that with my scary stories. So I used to start out as like, just like, I don't know, I was home alone and oh, that was terrifying. And I'm like, ooh. And then now like those stories don't even get me. It's like, I died and came back and I'm like, holy crap. Like, like really, I listen to really, really like really terrifying stuff. Like no one else can listen to my stuff. Like I try to share it with friends sometimes, even my friends that are like into it, and they're like, dude, this is like terrifying. I'm like, I know, right? They're like, what's wrong with you? So yeah, I listen to like really crazy, scary stuff. And yeah. But I've always just, I don't know. That's always just been so strong. It's always just really like been there. And not all of them are paranormal type of stuff. I do listen to a lot of that, but not all of them are. Like some of them are just like, other scary humans and things.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like crazy stuff like that. But there's all kinds of other experiences too. I mean, we're up at the hour, so I'm not going to go into like detail or anything, but stuff that isn't paranormal, like like the snorkeling in Hawaii, that was super, super scary and created some trauma. And like when your baby goes into shock when she's born and doesn't breathe for the first like few minutes of her life, that was super scary.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. The earthquake, I wrote down the earthquake that we had. That was scary. Yeah. And yeah, just all kinds of stuff. I've definitely had other scary I'm an easily scared person, I guess, too, though.
I was when I was younger. So I would watch scary stuff a lot when I was younger and get pretty terrified. So like up until like my preteen years, I would even sneak into my parents' bedroom and like sleep on their floor. And because I would get so scared all the time of like everything and just felt like overly sensitive to that kind of stuff. And it's like I just how many experiences I had, and like when I was little too, and thinking about that. But I think I unintentionally like shielded myself when I was younger. I used to imagine like really, really hard that my parents had this like big wooden TV, like a projector TV. So it's like, how the old screens used to like pop outward or whatever, the glass. Yeah. And like, I used to imagine that I would crawl inside of there and be in this container, and I would be safe if I was like inside this container. So like I would just pretend like if I got scared that I like would crawl in there and like protect myself with this like shell. And so I used to just like really think about like protecting myself with like a shell of some sort. And now I understand the protection of that a lot more, you know, and I do it differently now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so sensitive to that stuff when I was younger. And I think that's why I don't get into it when I'm older. I don't have a
Well, that's
parent's
cool
bedroom to
though.
crawl into anymore.
Dude, I never did. I'm like, what was I? I would just, yeah, get super scared, but I was always like living on my own and stuff. But even before then, I don't know. I would like do scary stuff with my friends. And then, yeah, they would go home and like sleep on their parents' floor. And I'd just be like, I just like
Yeah.
watch cartoons or something. But yeah, I have like DVDs of like Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob SquarePants and stuff like that. And people are like, why do you have these adult cartoons? I'm like, well, or I have these cartoons as an adult. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, hang with me long enough and you'll be like sucking your thumb wanting to watch them.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you want to get weird tonight? Huh?
So
Yeah,
true.
that's what I would do. I just like watch a cartoon and stuff before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
But that's cool that you kind of like understood that and like already like and had that like visualization, because that's essentially what you're doing when you're
Yeah.
protecting and shielding yourself energetically. Like that's what you're doing. You're just imagining, and it can be any kind of shield, just as long as it's like giving you that feeling of protection. So
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. That started when I
Yeah.
maybe was like 6 or 7. So I don't know.
Nice.
Just didn't even know what I was doing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So are we transitioning
Well,
again?
transition.
Transition.
Soft transition. Yeah, did
Speaking
you
of,
pull a card?
I'm going to. Do, do, do.
What deck is it?
It's the archetypes, the wild unknown archetypes.
Okay.
So,
Let's get a paranormal one. Just kidding.
right. I pulled the ocean again.
Oh my God.
I just mixed it up so much. This is what we got.
Weird.
Didn't we get this last time?
We did, and we've gotten that a time before too.
Girl, we're just bringing in the ocean all the time. That's so crazy. It's like there's like
we're just so connected to the ocean.
I
And I don't
know.
hate it.
I don't. Talk about the deep, dark unknown.
I'm about it.
I know. I'm like, I don't even know if I should read about it again. Should I reread it?
Yeah, maybe there'll be something that like really pertained to last times, and there was another part that kind of didn't, that maybe does this time. I don't know. We'll see.
Like just, yeah, something else will pop out to us.
Yeah.
The unconscious.
Okay.
The depths, I can't speak. The incomprehensible. The power of the ocean is unmatched. Too steep. Oh, hold on. The power of the ocean is unmatched. To step into its salty waters is to step into the unknown. By its sheer volume, the ocean represents the unconscious, all that is beyond our understanding. We cannot live within the ocean. We cannot claim it, manage it, or own it. It rejects our every attempt to dominate nature. Yet amid its overwhelming power, it is called to us, inspires us, and invigorates our life on land. It dissolves the little us into the big us. When the energy of the ocean is present, there is change stirring that is beyond any change you've known before. The ego must dissolve. The saline swells work on your very cells, your fibers, your deepest underlying beliefs. Like Aphrodite, we rise from the ocean's froth, a new being. Life is change. Let the wave crash. Study waves, touch their surface, get in the water. No matter where you live, each drop is part of a whole. The ocean is in every tear. The ocean displays every emotion without shame. To witness its glassy moonlight surface and its unforgiving storms is to know the full spectrum of the human experience. You know, one of the things I would take in the like every tier is like the ocean, or the ocean is in every tier. It's kind of how I feel about like energies, in the sense of like, if you're like in a negative space and you're watching all those negative or scary things, you're part of that energy. You know what I mean? It's like a whole. It's not just like you're not separate from these negative energies. You're either drawing them or you're pushing them, but you're still connected in some way, you know?
That's deep. No, I totally get that. Yeah. Yeah. When it was talking about the wave part, I actually thought back to like in the astrology forecast when I was talking about the new moon for Aries, and I was like, make waves, time to make waves or whatever. But I mean, that wasn't like some huge correlation or whatever. I was more thinking like unconscious and stuff like the actual topic. But I did think about that really quick though while you were reading it. So
yeah, gosh, if I use this deck again, maybe I'll take that card out.
Sad.
We just keep pulling it.
Like, pertains to so many things. I know, that's so wild. But yeah, I think that was the third time now that
it's a big deck. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
We just keep pulling,
and then we just that ocean just keeps pulling us in.
Girl, yes, please.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, I am so excited that we got through one whole season. I can't even believe it. This is the last episode of season 1. And
I'm proud of us.
I know, me too. This is so exciting. We've had some people who've like listened from the very beginning, like all of them. And yeah, I'm super grateful for you guys. And I am excited to do season 2. When we decide, we'll definitely let you all know when that is. But thank you for being with us for 15 episodes of the Wise and Weird podcast. And don't forget to be wise.
And get weird. The ocean wave.